Right, good morning, everybody. We'd like to call this press conference to order. If we could please stand for the Belize national anthem. One, two, three. Of the free by the Caribbean Sea, our manhood we pledge to the liberty. No tyrants here linger, despots must flee this tranquil of democracy. The blood of the stars which follows the sun brought freedom from slavery, oppression, by the might of truth and the grace of God. No longer shall we be hewers of wood. Arise, ye sons of the Layman's clan, put on your armor, clear the land, drive back the tyrants, let despots flee. Land of the free, by the Caribbean Sea. Nature has blessed thee with wealth untold, our mountains and valleys where prairies roll. Our fathers and women, valiant and bold, drove back invaders, his heritage hold. From proud Rio to old Sarstoon, through coral eyes over blue lagoon, keep watch with the angels, the stars and moon. For freedom comes tomorrow's noon. Arise, ye sons of the Layman's clan, put on your armor, clear the land, drive back the tyrants, let despots flee. Land of the free, by the Caribbean Sea. Thank you very much, Brother Abdul. I'm going to call on you to lead us in prayer.
Let's all join in the Lord's saying of the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever and ever. Amen.
Amen. You may be seated. I'd like to formally welcome everybody to this press conference. The Belize Progressive Party BPP Press Conference. I would like to, of course, thank the media for coming out and keep repeating, and we'll continue to repeat that you guys play a very important and powerful role in the direction that the country of Belize is taking. I take this time now to turn over the presentation to our chairman, Arthur Smith. He will be talking about the current issues affecting Belize. Chairman Smith, please proceed.
Okay. Pleasant good morning, one and all, and thank everyone for coming out. First and foremost, we would say that definitely, given that you are in the media, you know that many things are afoot here in Belize with regards to the goings on. And this press conference is basically to give you a feel, a touch as to where the BPP stands on some of the salient issues. And so without further ado, we'll just go right into it. The first topic that we will discusses the growing dysfunction in Belize's governance. As you all know, it's evident that the many scandals and the lack of discipline and respect for the rule of law, particularly among our elected officials, represents the dysfunction that we're experiencing at this time, and it's reached epic proportions. Case in point, let's take a look at one of the hot button topics, the Auditor General's report. We all know that it chronicled and analyzed widespread irregularities with regards to immigration practices. I know you all were at the Prime Minister's press conference last week. And fundamentally, instead of being commended, the PM's press conference of last week was more like a de facto inquisition of the manner in which the report was conducted, as opposed to looking into the substance of the report itself. Now, when the head of government fundamentally embarks on a quest to deflect criticism away from their administration at the expense of dealing head-on with the pressing issues at hand, the BPP dare say it is a reflection of the poor state of governance that is in play in our nation. Switching gears a little bit, as you all know, at the last sitting of the House, to put it mildly, there was a fiasco. And this is yet another example that ties into the less than desirable state of governance we are experiencing in our nation. I shall not say much about that particular subject. In effect, for those who are not distracted by the attendant theatrics of the parties involved, it should be clear at the end of the day that the business of the people was not effectively, nor was it efficiently undertaken by way of the parliamentary process. Several bills were run through without the benefit of being reviewed and tabled by the opposition. Such an outcome is unacceptable as it relates to ensuring that the best interest of the people of this nation is undertaken and met via the appropriate functioning of the legislature. Talking a little bit about the most recent sitting of the Senate, it highlighted yet another instance of less than admirable degree of representation, particularly on the topic of irregularities concerning immigration raised by the Auditor General's report. On this, the BPP has made clear its position that the resulting failure to pass a motion for a select Senate committee to probe and investigate this matter is a travesty on many levels. For it relegates the issue to be reviewed by a bicameral configuration, which does not represent the best possible means through which to ensure that a thorough analysis and review is conducted by the best suited entity. Issues which come to mind include what shall be the resulting configuration of such a body as it relates to the inclusion of social partners. Now, those are some of the things that have been taking place that are, shall we say, untenable, less than ideal, and is indicative of the level of dysfunction in our governance. In terms of the BPP, in keeping with our view toward being a catalyst towards effective change, we have embarked upon an initiative, the People's Referendum, in which, unlike other political parties, we are proactively seeking the input of the electorate on a wide range of social issues. This effort began a few weeks ago at the sitting of the House, and beyond the fiasco that occurred, both inside and outside the National Assembly, your BPP was there, on hand, liaising with the people. On that day, we garnered over 100 persons who responded to the mock referendum. In addition, to date, over 990 persons have completed the online version of the document, which can be accessed via our webpage at www.belizeprogressiveparty.org. Now, we're almost certain that the naysayers out there will try to question the relevance of such an exercise. And to this we impart that it is part and parcel of the party's commitment to encouraging citizen participation, as well as creating a level of consciousness and awareness that signals the importance of consultation in the process of governance. After all, what other political parties are asking the people for their opinion, whether they are in or out of government? Talking again about another issue, a hot button topic that is out there, is the salary increase for teachers. Yet another hallmark of the Barrow administration is the unending flow of false promises. On that note, the BPP takes this opportunity to reiterate our support for the teachers to receive their due salary increase. With the level of corruption that is rampant in government, if the Barrow administration was serious about curbing it, they could. But in keeping par for the course, instead, they expect the teachers to bite the bullet, so to speak, and have their hard-earned salary increase remain in a state of suspended animation. So to the teachers, we want to let you know that the BPP supports you. Now, we've talked about a number of issues, and we're coming to something that is very, very critical. Not to say that the other things we discussed aren't critical, but what we'd like to talk about now is the state of the Belizean economy. And it's something that I believe every Belizean should be concerned with. Now, to the even most casual of observers, given the ever-increasing foreign debt and Belize's inability to meet them accordingly, that our economy is in an unhealthy state. Following 2 consecutive quarters of economic contraction over the period January through July 2016, for all intent and purposes, we are in a recession. This has occurred amid the bountiful taxes on the windfall of B&E. Meanwhile, the world oil prices were high, and not to mention the dividends garnered by way of Petrocaribe, while it lasted. Given these factors and the resulting state of economic affairs, it points to the short-sighted economic policies of the Barrow administration. Government's excessive expenditure on things such as infrastructure projects for the sake of political expediency has ultimately backfired in that it temporarily inflated the economy, but along with it came considerable leakage of expenditure through the purchases of inputs such as cement and construction equipment from other nations, which inevitably do not produce an income stream for Belize. This, of course, is in stark contrast to the BPP's mantra of investing in the productive sector, which provides greater results over time in terms of providing income to cover the cost of investments. Yet another clearly less than ideal situation involves excessive payments associated with the nationalizations of BTL and BEL. In order to meet the burden of these acquisitions, the GOB has resorted to the last-ditch effort of money creation, which is evidenced through large borrowing from the central bank. Even the most casual of observers should realize that such practices do not bode well for the economic health of the nation and could very well place unprecedented pressures on our fixed exchange rate. The counterbalance of this has seen an imposition of more stifling exchange controls and inevitably that leads to greater difficulties for the productive sector in terms of their ability to obtain U.S. currency through which to obtain certain inputs for production. Excuse me. Now these elements combine, to worsen an anemic economic situation that is on a downward spiral and which inevitably weakens any remaining levels of strength within the social, institutional, and environmental pillars regarding the nation's sustainable human development. Of course, there are the issues at hand, there are other issues at hand, and unlike other political parties, we're not about pointing fingers. Our hallmark is to provide viable solutions. In that regard, our onus shall be on rebuilding our productive sector, yet this time with equity as a central factor and simultaneously investing heavily in quality, inclusive education and health. The bottom line is that the Barrow administration had the resources and made the conscious decision to spend over $1 billion on non-productive, politically expedient, short-sighted activities that ultimately caused the Barrow bubble to inflate to the point of its own demise. We are the only party that is prepared to take the measures to attain sustainable human development by investing in what is most important to all Belizeans. The central focus of a BPP-led government shall be on people to expand their capacities to attain a high quality of life. This objective will be achieved sustainably by efficiently producing more quality goods and services to increase employment, living wages, foreign exchange, wealth, and taxation income, as well as encouraging entrepreneurship and a value-added approach that in turn will be able to pay for more long-term investment in quality education, health, and social services to build our social capital, protect our environment, and secure sustainable human development. That's our take on the state of the economy and our prescription in terms of moving forward for the nation of Belize. At this point, I'd like to bring you abreast of some of the upcoming BPP initiatives. And I'll frame this first section in relation to the UNCAC. You all know what that stands for, the United Nations Convention Against Corruption. Bearing in mind the untenable state of affairs regarding our national governance, in conjunction with the disingenuous assertion by the PM that he shall accede to signing on to the UNCAC pending certain conditions. In addition to the PUP's hollow calls on this matter, the BPP remains firm in its call for the UNCAC to be signed immediately. The principles of the BPP have been and remain at the forefront of this initiative since 2008, and we remain the only active political party to continue to do so. In such regard, we embrace the current effort of the Belize Chamber of Commerce and Industry of taking the active stance to encourage the GOB to hold true to its promise. Additionally, we stand ready to collaborate with other civil society entities to ensure that this long overdue effort is actually fulfilled. Let us not forget, though, that even beyond the international convention, there are laws on the books in Belize which are designed to foster the very same core tenets of transparency and accountability among elected officials. I refer to the Prevention of Corruption Act, POCA, of 2007. And with regards to current administration, to date, that particular ordinance has been afforded neither the necessary attention nor effort by the Barrow administration to ensure its compliance. Therefore, the BPP makes, yet again, another public call for all persons in public life to comply. Since the PM appears not at all concerned with this statute, it is our duty to remind all interested parties of the necessity to practice what you preach. Given the level of unbridled corruption that is synonymous with those in public life, it is imperative that such effort begins at home. Switching gears, we'll talk a little bit about the BPP's outreach efforts. We'd like to inform the nation that we shall be embarking upon a nationwide tour of the villages. As the only viable solution to the red and blue debacle that has plagued our nation for the last 35 years, your Belize Progressive Party is preparing to spread our message to the people by way of a tour of the villages commencing later this month. We are in the process of formalizing matters, and it should span approximately 3 weeks. We intend to begin in the Toledo district approximately around the 26th of September. And as we put more meat to the matter, we will definitely inform the press with regards to the particulars. But the fundamental reason behind the tour of the villages is, number one, to spread the word with regards to BPP, what we stand for, and what we plan to do in terms of solutions to the many problems that plague this nation. Another outreach effort involves the upcoming Sarstoon Eco-Challenge. As you're aware, the BPP works hand in hand with key activist organizations, and one of the most profound linkages that we share involves our connection with the Belize Territorial Volunteers, the BTV. After all, our deputy political leader, Will Mejia, heads that body. So as to not lose sight of the matter, over the past months, we noticed that not much information has been featured in the media with regards to the situation at Sarstoon. Well, in that regard, we have partnered with the BPP to aid in the upcoming Sarstoon Island Eco-Challenge, which is scheduled for Saturday, the 17th of September 2016. And fundamentally, it's a means through which to encourage Belizeans to be aware of our patrimony and to encourage the sustainable use of our natural resources. If you'd like further information with regards to the Sarstoon Island Eco-Challenge, you can go to our website. You can also visit the BTV's website as well. You know, amid all of the things that are taking place in Belize, it is important that we do not forget those who have gone before us. And in that regard, the BTV wishes to announce that efforts are underway to recognize the anniversary of the slaying of Belize Tourism Police Officer Danny Connorquie. The BPP, in conjunction with the BTV, intends to commemorate his untimely passing at the hands of ruthless individuals who, to date, have not been apprehended. This young Belizean was cut down in the line of duty, and his sacrifice must never be forgotten. Therefore, in short order, plans involving this initiative shall be released. Keeping with the theme, I'd like to talk a little bit about Belize-Guatemala Relations. In particular, the Anglo-Guatemalan Dispute and our steadfast position of no to the ICJ. We bring this up because it's very important that although things may not be seemingly happening in the open, you have to keep attuned to the pulse of what's going on. Now, the BPP welcomes the news of the recent announcement of the findings of the independent forensic specialists, which exonerated our BDF personnel in the accused murder of a Guatemalan youth. Let it be known that we remain steadfast in our support of the nation's security personnel as they defend the territorial integrity of this nation, and we wish to reiterate that our sometimes harsh assessment of the poor decision-making of elected officials is by no means a criticism of our brave men and women in Belize's uniformed services. I want to make that absolutely clear. Instead, it is a call for sound, rational thought to prevail in terms of defending this nation amid the existential threat posed by our neighbor to the west. It is, in effect, a call to order for the politicians to abandon their failed foray policy of appeasement, acquiescence, accommodation, and adherence, which inevitably places all Belizeans at greater risk. Of note, the BPP remains unmoved in its staunch stance of no to the ICJ, for obvious reasons. Case in point, after maliciously maligning the BDF in the international press, with the GOB remaining impotent as per usual, and calling for the investigation, Now that the findings do not suit them, the Guatemalans are rejecting it. This is a call to all Belizeans to view clearly the behavior and tendencies of the Guatemalan government and oligarchy, and in so doing, we pose the question to you. Given this instance, do you actually believe that if Belize chooses to go to the ICJ and a decision is rendered in favor of Belize, that Guatemala will honor it? Think about it for a moment. These are the things Belizeans must ask themselves as we prepare to embark upon the referendum. For us at the BPP desk, it is clear that going to the ICJ is not the most prudent path for Belize. As a caveat, we would be remiss not to mention that although not unexpected, even in the face of the BDF being exonerated, it remains lost on our foreign minister that détente makes appropriation for one to stand up for their nation. In this regard, we believe that a formal demand for an apology from Guatemala should be issued by the foreign minister. Of course, given his perspective, we know that this rational request shall fall on deaf ears. I'm going to switch very quickly now to what we're calling the national view. And it's amid the fact that we're in the month of September celebrations. And basically, we'd like to say that amid the revelry that is synonymous with this time of year, your Belize Progressive Party calls on Belizeans, one and all, both at home and abroad, to recognize that although we are thankful for being an independent nation, that we have in place the appropriate priorities as it relates to this status. With the very real and existential threat of Guatemala pushing its unfounded claim with the most unfortunate assistance of the PUDP, it is most important that Belizeans remain attuned to all that is occurring on this matter, whether or not it appears in the media. Do not allow the festive nature of the 10th and 21st to cloud your view. That we are a nation under threat and distress by tyrants who linger from both outside and within our borders. Like the age-old notion regarding the Trojan horse, Belizeans must remain wary of those who come bearing promises and gifts. The PUDP has demonstrated on innumerable occasions that when it is politically expedient, they shall promise you the moon, the stars, the sky, and unfortunately, Belizeans continue to fall for it. On that note, we invite all Belizeans to enjoy the September celebrations, yet on the same token, to remain both aware and vigilant. Finally, as the BPP continues to grow from strength to strength, we invite Belizeans to take that much-needed leap of faith and join the BPP, for we represent the new political consciousness that shall lead Belize out of this rut and on the path of sustainable human development. Now, I talked about a lot of different issues. One of the things that I would really like to highlight is the People's Referendum that has been put out by the BPP, both in hard copy format as well as online. And for that, I'd like to turn to the PR Director, Charles Leslie, to give you some insights with regards to that.
All right, thank you, Bro Parker. You made a comprehensive yet summarized presentation on what is affecting Belize, the issues, and what the BPP proposes as the solutions. And that is the key right there. Someone asked me if I could discuss or inform the public on what I think the solution is to actually discuss the solutions. Once the media, once the public start discussing solutions, it will come to the conclusion that we have to have participatory democracy, we have to have proportional representation, we have to have proportional budgetary allocation and proportional resource allocation to properly develop Belize. And the inhibitor, what is inhibiting those things is corruption. If we do not deal with the source, which is corruption, nothing else will be able to happen, and the domino effect. Once we address corruption seriously by signing the UN Convention Against Corruption, that will give us an autonomous tool, just like CICIG gave the Guatemalan people an autonomous tool to investigate and jail the former president of Guatemala and jail the former vice president of Guatemala. So do not take the UN Conventions Against Corruption as something that will sit on the sideline like the Integrity Commission and also the Public Accounts Committee and POCA. That will not happen. I can assure the Belizean people that will not happen. Once we address corruption, then we have to address the economy, because the economy is what drives a country. Addressing the failed policies of the PUDP will put Belize back on the right track to becoming a donor nation and not a beggar nation. So to point out the poll, we have totally, with our online poll that is geared towards Belize, the Belize Breaking News have been assisting us with this online poll, and they have formulated where the IP address, only people from within Belize can participate in the poll. Currently, as of this morning, we had 990 participants, responses, and with the results we collected at the foot of the National Assembly on August 26. The first question we have is, should any and all claims by Guatemala and Belize's sovereign territory be submitted to the ICJ for final statement? The answer is no. Should Guatemalans be given citizenship? A resounding no. Should the LGBT portion of Section 53 of our criminal code remain the same? The answer is yes, a marginal yes currently. Do you think LGBT is a lifestyle choice? A resounding yes. Should, and this is important because Brother Parker mentioned this, and we show our support for the teachers of this country, and this poll shows that the Belizean people also support the teachers' campaign promise that the PM made of 3% salary raise. The poll showed that Belizeans resoundingly support that campaign promise. Should the government of Belize sign the UN Convention Against Corruption? Absolutely yes. Should the Prime Minister form an Integrity Commission immediately before the end of 2016? Yes. Do you think the Public Accounts Committee should remain active and open to the public to attend? Yes. Do you think the annual reports for the Ombudsman, Accountant General, Auditor General, Contractor General be tabled in the House of Representatives every year? The answer to that is yes. Should a Commissioner of Police be relieved of the post if found to be impartial or reluctant in executing their assigned duties? Yes. Legalize marijuana. Yes, Belizeans show that they do support the legalization of marijuana. Should laws that affect unfair foreclosures on properties be adopted and implemented? Belizeans believe that yes, laws should be implemented. Do you support a complete ban on gillnet fishing? This I hold dear to my heart because that is how my father raised me and was able to send me to college because of commercial fishing, and then he transitioned into sports fishing, which is far more sustainable. And gillnet fishing is destroying a potential $500 million a year industry. It is destroying it. And if we do not ban gillnet fishing, it will completely destroy it, and this economy will go into deeper recession, and that is a fact. And I'm happy to say that Belizeans, according to this poll, do support a complete ban on gillnet fishing. So my dad will be pleased to hear that. Do you agree that we must abolish ministerial discretion? Yes. Do you agree that we should repeal the law against crossing the floor in the House of Representatives? Yes. Do you think the results of a referendum should be binding? Yes. Do you agree we should leave the referendum up as is with 60% threshold? Yes. The law says that all government vehicles should be parked after 5 p.m. Do you want this law to be enforced immediately? Yes. I believe the financial secretary sent out a press release stating that, he wants stringent implementation for this particular law. I will commend the financial secretary for doing that, because that is commendable. Do you want to know who are the owners of the Belize Infrastructure Company Limited? Yes. Do you believe those government ministers implicated in the immigration scandal should be held accountable? A resounding yes. Should the minimum wage be increased to $5 on shore, mainland, and $7 offshore islands? Yes. Should the unions advocate for the reinstatement of the permanent secretary's position to replace the current CEO positions in our ministries? Yes. And that is the results of the poll as of this morning. The poll will be completed on September 20th, so we're asking all Belizeans, please participate. It's very short. And this will show that the Belize Progressive Party, or it is showing that the Belize Progressive Party is serious about participatory democracy. Participating in this poll will not help only the BPP in the future to craft policies, but this will be presented to the Prime Minister of Belize, being Barrow, and it will also be presented to the PUP to show that the BPP are leading by getting information and having the people participate and not telling the people what to do or what we will do just because we had a mandate. So that is the conclusion of the poll. POCA, do you have any input that you would like to share at this time?
Okay. Well, I just very quickly like to say with regards to the poll. Sorry. I would just very quickly like to say that with regards to the results of the poll, or the tentative results of the poll to date, it's indicative from the simple fact that the financial secretary has embarked upon putting out a notice throughout the government service with regards to a particular issue that was mentioned in that poll. It's demonstrative that there are effects.
All right.
So people who say that, oh, well, you're just doing this because you're doing it for show or whatnot, there you have it. You have an actual instance in which it has played a role in impacting an element of government. Beyond that, I think that the results are fairly self-explanatory, and I believe that if they go, they can also access this information.
Yes, just go to the Belize Progressive Party.org. We have it right there on every page at the top. All you have to do is click to participate on the poll. It will pop up and you just click yes, no, it's all yes, no questions. And once you participate, you will not be able to participate because the system records your IP address. And that way we know that the poll is not being tampered with by people, going to the poll and participating over and over. So I just wanted to make that clear.
Okay. Well, very good. With regards to the presentation, that's fundamentally it. And if you like, we can open up the floor to questions.
Sir, will we be able to access those results?
Yes. Once the poll is completed, we will be making this poll public.
Can we not get those results now electronically?
Yes.
Yeah, I think, not to cut you across, but
Once
I think it would have helped in terms of having the percentage number. So that, okay,
Not
you
sure.
see resounding yes for one question,
We'll be happy to
marginal
share
yes for the second
information,
three. So I think it's
information as is now.
When was the poll open?
It was open August 26th. The poll was open on August 26th, the same exact day when we launched the People's Referendum at the POCA, the National Assembly.
You guys have also mentioned at the last press conference that you were trying to, you're going to raise a certain amount of money. So actually, what will be the referendum? How is that going to work?
Well, as you know, raising funds the right way is a challenging task. And we still continue with our efforts. It's coming along, but it's still goes.
Can you share how much you've been able to raise so far?
I don't have those figures here with me right now, but as they become available, we'll let you know.
Sir, how soon will this referendum take place? When will people actually be able to participate?
The real referendum? you're
Yes,
saying?
the one you all are.
Well, again, that's all contingent upon the raising sufficient funds. And we're also very happy that the media is here because we can use this opportunity to solicit for that purpose. So Belizeans and true friends of Belize, both at home and abroad, if you really believe in participatory democracy and all of the basic tenets of good governance, please, we ask you to support this effort.
So, please forgive my approach if it comes off as impolite, but why is it that the BPP presence is only felt via the media? You might as well change your name from Belize Progressive Party to the Belize Press Conference Party.
Okay. Well, first and foremost, I'd like to inform you that we have very, very thick skin, because if we didn't, we wouldn't be here, right? So, however it comes off to other people, we just take it like a duck, it just rolls off of us. A perception is based on an individual. You should never try to judge an individual until you walk a mile in your moccasins. So, in terms of your question, that is your perception. With regards to the reality of the situation from our perspective, the bottom line is this, excuse me. When you are going against a system that has been thoroughly entrenched for the past 35 years, whereby you've chosen to consciously walk the road less traveled, most definitely the results will not be immediate. We know that in terms of the way that we have gone about outreaching and liaising to the public, we are making gradual strides. With regards to my presentation, I did tell you of some initiatives that we're undertaking. So, although our approach may not be as palatable to those who are yearning for more, I will say this. Belizeans, if you want more, if you're expecting more, many hands make the load a lot less heavy. So therefore, again, we make that appeal. But rest assured, we are leaving no stone unturned with regards to the various ways and means through which we can outreach with the public.
So to add to Daniel's question, every time we come here, you guys raise a series of electoral issues, but you've never really taken to the streets. And right now, as is the country is right for a protest, right for a demonstration, we saw a huge one yesterday. So we're simply asking, or we're simply trying to find out, is there any plans in the pipeline for an immediate protest?
Immediate, I would not use the term immediate, because immediate, it would be pigeonholing ourselves to something. But I would definitely say that we are making effective steps to continue to liaise with civil society organizations. Because of course there is strength in numbers.
Sir, what is the benchmark? How do you all measure the successes you get by trying to gauge your performance as a political party and the support you are getting?
Well, speaking as an individual who's been in this process for a little over the past 15 years, I can say that we gauge our success based on our previous experiences. As you all know, I was part of another alternative political movement, our former affiliates. And when I gauge the amount of growth that I have seen since the inception of the BPP last October to now, which is roughly 11 months, but going on 12 months, it has been more than incremental. In as much that, for example, in the past, we were unable to field candidates nationwide. So that is one benchmark. But again, one of the things that we have to look at is the quality of candidates that we are fielding. Additionally, we're looking at the growth of the organization, the political party, in terms of many different facets, whether it be, number one, translating supporters into becoming members, and also looking at different areas and avenues, such as, for example, the youth movement that we are in the process of putting into effect, as well as the women's group or what have you. So there are different areas, different means by which to benchmark. And on a personal note, I believe that we have been making considerable strides.
Sir, can you comment on reports that Mr. Raymond Rivers and Louis Espat, Jose Louis Espat, has exited the BPP? That's the reports we're getting, that they have decided to part ways with the BPP.
Okay, I can only speak to one because I received a letter of resignation from Mr. Espat. As far as Mr. Rivers, that's nothing that I've gotten official.
Okay, sir, there was this suggestion, just in passing, that he tells us that his grievance is that the BPP is starting to take on traits of the PUBP system that you so complain of, and that's an insider criticizing his own organization, so we can't take it without something just casual.
Well, all I can say is that within the political realm, you attract a lot of different personalities. And it's incumbent upon the individual to assess whether or not they'll take with from whomsoever what they say with a grain of salt or otherwise.
In that letter, did he explain why he left the BPP?
Yes, he explained why he left, and it's been accepted.
Are you able to share that reason?
Fundamentally, I think that, I can't remember what it said specifically, but the bottom line is that at a certain point, if, and I don't want to paraphrase what he said, but this is my perspective, right? At a certain point where if you find that there's a level of incompatibility, then it's time to call it quits.
Do you believe that he may be putting on BPP representatives or something?
That is of no concern to us. Insofar as I am concerned as the chairman of the Belize political party, we have crossed that bridge and we are moving forward. I would more prefer to emphasize the proactive and productive things that we're doing as opposed to looking in the rearview mirror. So we wish him all the best.
So I listened to some of your upcoming activities, and I can't help but sense that Dr. Zalane has some role to play in your speech about sustainable development and touring the country starting from Toledo. This sounds like some ideas that I've heard from Zalane back in the days. Can you tell us about his involvement in the BPP?
Oh, you're not aware? He's an advisor to the BPP. He's one of the.
So these are some of his ideas.
It's a collective. It's a collective. But absolutely, Dr. Zalane, who happens to be my former teacher, is an individual that we hold in extremely high regard. So insofar as economic advice and information, most definitely, it comes from a collaboration of efforts. And we're not afraid to say that Dr. Zabane has given his input.
All right, so we need to start closing, that's important.
Yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am. All right. Well, thanks a lot. We really appreciate you guys coming out.